Remember in 2009 when President Obama, he was speaking at Notre Dame, said this about the need for civil discourse?
As citizens of a vibrant and varied democracy, how do we engage in vigorous debate? How does each of us remain firm in our principles and fight for what we consider right, without, as Father John said, demonizing those with just as strongly held convictions on the other side?
Oh, what a nice sentiment. But where is he tonight? What does he say about the threats against the Trump administration? Somehow the Dems went from hope and change to nope and deranged. Over the weekend, the owner of a Lexington, Virginia eatery, probably heard about it, called the Red Hen, did something pretty incredible. She asked White House spokeswoman, press secretary Sarah Sanders and her family to leave the restaurant simply because she works for Trump. Well, the owner of the Red Hen, Stephanie Wilkinson, told the Washington Post, "I have a business, and I want the business to thrive. This feels like the moment in our democracy when people have to make uncomfortable actions and decisions to uphold their morals." So Miss Morality walked Sarah Huckabee outside and told her the Red Hen has, quote, certain standards that I feel it has to uphold, such as honesty, compassion, and cooperation. And she invited Huckabee to leave, which the White House press secretary did. Now, Huckabee returned home with her husband, but the rest of the family went to another restaurant across the street. Well, that didn't stop Wilkinson or her crusade to drive conservatives, apparently from establishments, even ones she doesn't run, in the same town. Governor Mike Huckabee was on my radio show today.
There's a part of that story that has not been told. You're going to be the first to hear it. Sarah and her husband just went home. They had sort of had enough. But the rest of her family went across the street to a different restaurant. The owner of the Red Hen, because nobody's told this, then followed them across the street, called people, and organized a protest, yelling and screaming at them from outside the other restaurant.
Publicly shaming conservatives and targeting them in public, it's become the new tactic of the left. It's not enough to malign them for their beliefs and positions. Now they have to be publicly humiliated, including their families and, you bet, their small children. Incidentally, Huckabee's in-laws, I love this, are liberals. They don't even like Trump. Hollywood is getting in on the action, too. Actor Seth Rogen, he bragged on TV how he recently embarrassed Speaker Paul Ryan in front of his children.
And he said, "Can I have a picture with you?" And I look over, and his kids are standing right there, expectantly, clearly fans of mine. And I said, "No way, man." And I couldn't stop. And I said, "Furthermore, I hate what you're doing to the country at this moment. And I count the days till you no longer have one iota of the power that you currently have." And I look over, and his kids are still standing right there.
Nice guy. I always get him mixed up with Jonah Hill for some reason. But if I were Seth Rogen, I'd be trying to keep every fan I could. He's not exactly Chris Pratt, but I digress. By the way, even the Cineplex isn't safe from the bullying tactics of the left. Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi, she attended a showing of Mr. Rogers, a documentary which, ironically, is all about civility and kindness. Apparently, the left-wing mob who confronted and flicked spit on the Attorney General of Florida didn't get the memo.
What would Mr. Rogers think about you and your legacy in Florida? Taking away health insurance with people with pre-existing conditions, Pam Bondi. Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
So that's the video of Bondi leaving the theater. So that's what they wanted. But as she came in, she and her boyfriend were verbally assaulted and physically threatened in the concessions line.
They came up again, just every curse word in the book, and they said to him, "Hey, Blue Eyes, come on, aren't you going to protect her?" Using a lot of, a lot of other words too. "Aren't you going to protect her? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" And they're this far from my face. One spit on my head. They were trying to create a fight.
Oh, you bet they were. And if this continues, somebody's going to get hurt. Now, imagine if a few years ago, Obama administration officials, or just run-of-the-mill local Democrats, were harassed and verbally assaulted in that way. There would be calls for the National Guard to step in. But since conservatives are being targeted, all bets are off. All standards are out the window. This is all evolving into a type of domestic terrorism, and it's only going to get worse. Homeland Security Chief, remember Kirstjen Nielsen, was driven out of a Mexican restaurant in D.C. last week by angry protesters. White House senior advisor Stephen Miller was also reportedly heckled at a D.C. eatery, and tonight protesters are reportedly staked outside of his apartment building. They even staged a protest outside of Nielsen's home, blaring audio of this child separation at a border facility. These are anarchic, organized spectacles. They're no accident. Each flash protest is planned out and choreographed. It's planned online first, again, and it's meant to shame the political opponent, to stoke violence and hatred, and maybe even intimidate people in the future from getting involved in the Trump administration at all. Why would they want that hassle? Then at a weekend rally, this is the best, Congresswoman Maxine Waters issued her own very soft call to action.
The American people have put up with this president long enough. Yeah. What more do we need to see? What more lies do we need to hear? You see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd, and you push back on them.
We're going to be talking about that phrase, push back on them, in just a moment. We invited Ms. Waters and a number of Democrats to appear tonight. No surprise, they all refused. She did find time to go on MSNBC tonight and Sunday to share this unifying message.
And I want to tell you, for these members of his cabinet who remain and try to defend him, they're not going to be able to go to a restaurant. They're not going to be able to stop at a gas station. They're not going to be able to shop at a department store. The people are going to turn on them. They're going to protest. They're going to absolutely harass them until they decide that they're going to tell the president, no, I can't hang with you.
Harass them, approach them, drive them out, push them back. So is Maxine Waters fomenting violence and using your position as a member of Congress to do so? Well, frankly, I said this today on radio. Paul Ryan should at the very least open an ethics inquiry into Waters' rhetoric, and I think they should move to censure her. She seems to be using her office to foment, or at least justify, acts of harassment, intimidation that could very well lead to violence. Now, reactions of outrage from the White House to Nancy Pelosi forced Waters to the microphone today. But if Maxine Waters thinks a non-apology double talk 48 hours after her incendiary and outrageous statements that she repeated yesterday are sufficient to quell the firestorm, she has another thing coming.
There's nowhere in my statement, anytime, any place that we talked about harm. And so our members of the Democratic caucus are talking about civility, and that makes good sense. But protest is civility.
Drive them out, harass them, get right up in their face, all the things that people take away from what she said in her very words. So threatening women and children at a dinner or at the movies is civil, Maxine? No wonder why she's too afraid to come on. She'll only go on to the softball interviews on MSNBC. Maybe she should come on a show she can't intimidate. Let's be clear. She knew exactly what she was saying, and she did not apologize for her comments in the least. The woman has been saying crazy, hateful, incendiary things for years. And the difference now is the entire Democratic Party has drifted into Maxine land.
As far as I'm concerned, the Tea Party can go straight to hell. I don't honor him, I don't respect him, and I don't want to be involved with it. The American people had better understand what's going on. This is a bunch of scumbags. Let's impeach 45! Impeach 45! Impeach 45!
The left wants to cry targeting people, maliciously attacking them in public for their beliefs or lifestyles. But now, because conservatives are the targets, a new standard has emerged. Since they believe Trump's policies are detestable, Nazi-like, the left believes it's a by any means necessary scenario. So they attempt to justify their thuggish public bullying by blaming whom? Trump, of course.
Should someone who lies constantly and enables the president's lies be openly welcomed in society wherever they please?
I would say that polite discourse is inappropriate when there are babies in cages. Now, does that mean that we're going to be violent? No. But does that mean that Sarah Sanders can have a nice, quiet dinner with her family when she's taking our tax dollars to implement this policy? I don't think so.
It wasn't until we had 3-year-olds in cages that these people couldn't go into public. Too bad on them.
But this vulgarity that exists, represented primarily right now, pushed by the president, but now coursed on either side of the aisle, has made it much worse and much harder to do anything in this country.
Oh, spare me. For decades, Hollywood and the left have driven any semblance of decency and civility from the movie house as well as a lecture hall. They've cheapened everything from music to fashion, but Trump is to blame for the vulgarity of the culture? Nice try. Our politics are now devoid of conversation, debate, ideas. The left has created a political culture where demonization of opponents and boycotts are routine. Hey, if you can't debate them, can't beat them in a debate, try to shut them down altogether. Organized chaos is their favorite tool. Yes, it's very Alinskyite. But the idea is not to come to some common understanding or even win an argument, of course, but to destroy political opponents. And you bet, attempt to silence them. When Democrats are urging uprisings online to deny Republican women safe havens, peace, just having a dinner in private, in a public place, a moment of enjoyment for her family, they won't allow that? Something is deeply wrong. Now is the moment for all people, right and left, to condemn this uncivil disobedience and those advocating for it. Threatening, yelling, and haranguing officials in public, that's not going to create positive outcomes or a better policy. Even Chuck Schumer said that today. Good for him. It will only harden the political divide in this country and perhaps lead to violence. And any blood spilled, remember what happened a year ago to Steve Scalise? Any blood spilled will be on the hands of Maxine Waters and any Democrats or never-Trumpers condoning tacitly or explicitly these Antifa-style tactics of vicious intimidation. And we will not stand for that. And that's the angle.